All right, one of my former soldiers joined the Army when he was 18, right out of high school. He joined the Army with 3 of his buddies. They all went to basic training together, AIT together. They all ended up at Fort Riley and even ended up in the same platoon. Kind of rare, but it happens. They all deployed together and were in central Baghdad, driving down the street in their Humvee, listening to AC/DC, which they always did, when an IED exploded. He was the only one that survived this. He was a very resilient soldier, very tough, very dedicated, and so he bounced back pretty well. The problem is, I saw on multiple occasions, anytime an AC/DC song would come up, I could see it in his face, the terror and the flashbacks. Post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, is a result of significant experience in somebody's life. But fortunately, through treatment, most people are able to go on and live a relatively normal, functioning life. Today I'm going to talk to you about some of the causes and some of the treatments for post-traumatic stress disorder. What is PTSD? It is a debilitating emotional impulse as a result of a very traumatic experience. The U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs said as many as 50 to 60% of Americans will experience PTSD at some point during their life. Some of the causes are a death of a loved one, specifically when it's unexpected, car accident, or something very quick and immediate. The other common cause is either the victim or witness of an assault, a sexual assault, a murder, something that leaves just a very traumatic experience in their lives. And then one of the last common causes is natural disasters or war. That can be either from witnessing it from a distance or in your own family. You know, having a tornado come through your house or a hurricane, something along those lines. How does it affect people? Some of the effects: personality change. People become very withdrawn, and you might talk to them before they deployed or before they had some kind of a traumatic experience. They're very happy and bubbly, and then afterwards they're very quick to anger, very short-tempered, and it's almost like you don't even recognize the person anymore. They tend to live on the edge, so they get into more risky behaviors. They start jumping off of bridges, doing dangerous things, riding motorcycles, standing up on a motorcycle. They're really extreme, driving very, very fast. One of the last ways that it affects people is drinking. Especially in the military, turn to alcohol, turn to drugs, and it really increases the amount of suicides and homicides, those people with post-traumatic stress disorder. Okay, so I've talked about some of the causes, I've talked about how it affects. Now I'll talk about some of the triggers. One of the main triggers, as in my example, is visual or audio flashbacks, basically. So my soldier, whenever he heard AC/DC, he went immediately back to that vehicle in Baghdad. But it could also be something visual. You see somebody that looks like somebody who did something bad that you can associate with. Another thing is location. I had another friend who, when he used to drive down I-70 right after deploying, every time he'd get to a bridge, he'd slow down and pull over and look under the bridge to make sure there wasn't somebody there that's going to get him, even if his family was in the back of the car. It took him a long time to be able to get over that. And that was right after 9/11. And then the last thing that triggers things is the anniversary. My buddy, his experience happened in August. So every August, he comes back to that. He goes and visits the grave sites and goes and visits with his friend's family. But it's another real big trigger. Okay, now that I've talked about some of the causes, I'm going to move on to some of the ways that we can help. Some of the treatments. There are a lot of treatments out there, and they've gotten a lot better over the past 13 years now. First one is support groups. According to the November 2010 Depression and Anxiety Journal, those military members with a strong support base are 53% less likely to have suicidal tendencies. By half. Half. That's a huge number. And that's support groups. Support groups can be families, they can be peers, they can be strangers. The advantage of strangers is you can share your thoughts and you don't have to worry about seeing somebody every single day. So that's a real big key. Beyond support groups, professional counseling, social workers, psychologists, psychiatrists, all can benefit greatly. As well as a lot of the clergy. In the military, we send people to the chaplain. It's got nothing to do with religion. They're just really good counselors and somebody to talk to help work through it. And then one of the last cases is medications. You can often get medications as you're learning to deal with some of your problems. And then some relatively new are some of these alternative treatments. The International Journal of Emergency Mental Health says that exercise can decrease the symptoms of anxiety and depression. Art therapy, Journal of the American Art Therapy Association says that participating in art, whether it's music or physically with your hands, can increase the avoidance and emotional numbing. And then one of my personal favorites is dogs, therapy dogs. In the 2012 issue of Journal in Child Sexual Abuse, therapy dogs have been shown to decrease trauma symptoms, including anxiety, depression, anger, and stress disorders. So dogs are very helpful, and you'll see a lot of veterans going around with dogs. So in conclusion, I've talked about some of the causes of PTSD and some of the treatments for PTSD. My soldier is, it's been about 8 years since it happened. He now has a family, 2 kids. They're living a very healthy and productive life. Thank you.
How do you get to where the other slides were?
Just escaped out of PowerPoint. Thomas, and then Kavya, you're on deck, right?
I'm just gonna look at my outline on my phone.
Okay, that's fine.
Up to the left.
To the left. To the left. No, there you go. See the tab? There you go. And then hit escape. See, Jonathan, you wanted to go after Kavya, is that right?
Yeah.